Hi everyone, my name is King IV and this is Audit Analytics Workshop. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at Pcard transactions, and we're going to be running a number of different procedures here. In this case, about 6 different procedures, analyzing City of Toronto Pcard data. So here's the data. You can see it's quite a rich data set, 201,000 records approximately, and it's from the City of Toronto. It's from roughly 2011 to September 2015. All publicly available. So first thing we want to do is we want to run a duplicate test. So in this case, we're going to run duplicate key detection. We're going to define our keys. In this case, we want the same merchant, the same transaction date, and then as well the same amount. So in this case, we're actually going to be using original amount as opposed to transaction amount. And transaction amount is basically the amounts always converted to Canadian. So reason why we want to use original amount is that it's not impacted by things like different FX rates used. So here we're gonna go P01 duplicates. Perfect. Next procedure we want to do is transactions greater than $10,000. So we're gonna call this P02 greater 10,000. In this case, we actually want to look at the transaction amount greater than 10,000. And the reason for that is that the original amount will flag a lot of false positives because things like Colombian pesos and Japanese yen, for example, have a very high ratio when compared to very high FX rate when compared to the Canadian dollar. So a lot of those things would be flagged. And the purpose of here is to identify any transactions that should have been flagged as duplicates. Okay, flagged as going through the regular accounts payable process. Next thing we want to do is we want to figure out where are their transactions perfectly divisible by 100. So here, the main reason why we want to do this one, for a couple different reasons, we want to identify where there are. Let me just delete these ones. We want to identify where are there transactions perfectly divisible by 100, which are typically like gift cards, donations, those type of high risk transactions. So in this case, what we're going to be using here is we're actually going to use the original amount because it's not going to be impacted by things like the exchange rate. And we're going to use this function called modulus, which basically divides whatever the value you have by whatever value you want to divide, in this case 100, and then it'll give you the remainder. In this case, we want the remainder to be equal to 0, which means that the number is perfectly divisible by 100. Perfect. So let's go to this next one. And the next thing we want to do here is we want to identify transactions that match public holidays. Okay. So in order to do this, let's import some data. So I've already put together a spreadsheet here of disallowed expenses and holidays. So I'm going to go ahead and import that. And essentially what I'm going to do here is I'm simply just going to do a join between these two lists. In this case, I want the holidays one, and I want to match it based off of the actual transaction date compared to the date of the holiday. In this case, I only want the holiday. I don't need the date. And then I'm going to call this here P04 holidays. There you go. So you can see some of those transactions there, and you can see where have people spent their holidays, did transactions on the holidays. Next, we want to do here is we want to identify keywords. In this case, jewelry, gift, electronic. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do a direct extract again, and we're going to call it P05 keywords. And then we're going to be using this function called isInny. And if we were to look up that function, what this does here is the same as isIn, except for it's not case sensitive. So basically what it does is it looks for, so here you give it 2 strings, string 1, string 2. The specific text that you're looking for, and then the character field, date field, that it's searched in. So in this case, let's go ahead and search the word jewelry. In this case, I want to search for it. There's a couple different fields I want to search for it in. In this case, merchant type description. And then I'll just do plus. I'll put a space here just so we're not impacted by that. And then as well, we want to search for it in, what's the field? Purpose. There you go. And then essentially what this will do is it'll give me a 1 if it is flagged and 0 if it's not. So there are 3 more words I want to search. In this case, it's bear with me here. It's kind of not liking this because the text is too big. Okay, electronic. And then as well, we want to search for the word gift. So essentially what I want to do here is I want to say, hey, extract it if this is greater than 0, which means it hit one of these 3 words. So if we go ahead and do that, we're going to see here, if we take a look at either the merchant type description or the purpose, you're going to see here like words like gift. You're going to hear gift again. You're going to see like different combinations. You'll see it seems like a lot of gifts, electronic. So lots of good ways to pick up those type of transactions that you're interested in. And the last one is where they match to this disallowed expenses list. So again, we're going to do join. In this case with this disallowed expense list. And then as well, I'm going to match it based off of the merchant type description and the category. So in this case, I'm going to go P06 disallowed. And then we're going to see a bunch of them that are disallowed. And then you can take a look at which ones are being flagged. Okay, perfect. So that's all I'm gonna cover. There's obviously different procedures and tests that you can do from here, but this is a pretty simple, straightforward way of analyzing Pcards. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it in the comment section below, and I look forward to speaking to you next time. Thank you.